it's Linda McPhee's workshop. Here's Linda.
Hi, and welcome to the show. I just love sewing, as you know, and I'm always on the lookout for people that are as crazy about sewing as I am, and I've found another one in Nicole. So it's nice to have you here, Nicole.
Well, thank you so much.
So what got you going into sewing?
Well, you know, it started out crazy. My mother-in-law gave me a sewing machine as a wedding present, and
that was a direct hit,
yes,
wasn't it? Yes.
So now I'm in charge of hemming everyone's pants.
Uh-huh.
But
So you didn't sew before then?
No, it was
Wonderful.
just one of these things that I picked up and made all the mistakes in the world,
Uh-huh,
and then really started enjoying it and loving it.
And now I would call you almost obsessed about this whole
Yes,
thing. Like
yes.
you-
Unfortunately, I am. Yes.
And with the new baby, it's kind of tough to do it all the time.
Yes,
But
yes.
you-
I try to do it on a daily basis, though. The second nap of the day is always the sewing.
And it is a therapeutic thing, isn't it?
Well, it's
I mean,
great,
It is.
and it's a break, and
It
it's
is.
wonderful.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, so glad to have you. What I did is I've got 3 instant skirts, almost instant.
Fabulous.
And I thought, guys like me, I mean, I don't have a lot of time either, and you don't
Yeah.
have a lot of time. And, of course, I also like things to be a little flexible in case we change size.
And I'm finding that.
There's
yes.
always that possibility that we could get smaller sometimes. So
Yeah.
let me show you what this first one's going to look like.
Oh, great.
It's called the circle wrap.
Oh,
So
that sounds
we've got
good.
a model. Aldine is here. And you can see him in total elegance.
Oh, it's
and
beautiful.
this is instant, this skirt. So actually I love it with the jacket because we had scraps left over from the skirt to make the jacket, so
yeah.
we had to do that. But let's take the jacket off. And you'll see how simple this skirt actually is. Do you get it?
And I'm noticing there's no hem.
That's
or there's
true.
no...
Yeah, there's no hem.
That's
No,
right.
there's no hem. There's one seam. The one seam was down the center of back. It
And
just wraps around to whatever size you are. It's out of a fabric called butter suede, so it's a very suedey, lovely feeling, wouldn't you say, fabric? Yes.
And you could wear it anywhere.
Yes, everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Aldine, and let's come back. So here's really what it is. It is 2 half circles, and it's a very simple concept.
Oh, yes.
So we did actually make a pattern for it, but instead of making the whole pattern, we just decided to make you this piece.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you can make it as long as you want or as short as you want.
So it's quite flexible.
Yes, so you would then start measuring here and just measure all the way around to whatever length. And you'll lay the 2 of them out like this on your unfolded piece of fabric, because as soon as you fold it, you're going to lose some overlap.
Right.
So
right.
I think this does work out pretty well. In fact, 2.5 yards for the largest size.
Well, that's wonderful.
And that full length, that's really
Yeah.
pretty good on a 60-inch wide fabric.
Yeah. And it looks like it's on the bias.
Yeah,
So-
well, part of it will be on the bias,
Right.
because you can see. So let's just take this off, because I've got one started.
Oh, great.
So here it is, and here is your center back seam, which is really your
Excellent.
only seam. And then you're going to put on your waistband. Well, actually, you have to flip the front back, and that's worked into the pattern. There's a facing part there. And then you're going to put the waistband on, and it's just traditional waistband. We're going to put right sides together. We interfaced it a little bit.
Right.
Flip it over, fold it over, and this would be top stitched along there. And then, of course, on the pattern, there's a place for the buttonhole, and you'll just wrap it around and pull it in as tight or as not tight as you want.
Yes.
And hem it if you want. This one we just actually serged, so you could leave that serging if you want, or you could hem it.
Well, that's awfully quick.
Well, because it's bias, you should let this hang for a day or so,
Right.
just to see and get the thing sort of all laid out the way it wants to. So let it hang before you go ahead and hem it.
Yeah.
So that one is pretty well instant, don't you think?
That's great.
And then we've got another one. There's
Oh,
more.
perfect.
Okay, this one we call the wild thing. Can you see why?
Oh, there's pieces coming everywhere.
Exactly. So let's just sort of take it apart, because you can see this is the scrap of fabric that was left over that became the belt. So this is just a piece.
Yeah.
This is then the top. Then if you look, there's a diagonal seam here, and this piece, if you see it, it's just a chunk of fabric.
Oh, and it's not even hemmed.
No, it's just like a scrap. So you want to do this out of something that doesn't fray.
Right.
Some kind of a knit. This is also a piece of fabric. This is, let me see, this one is a piece of fabric. Turn around and you'll see that there's just pieces of fabric coming out of all the seams. And that gives you such a interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's a great way to use up everything.
Oh, this is the no scrap skirt for sure.
Yeah.
So here, okay, I'll give you your belt, and then you can go put on another one. So the way we designed this one is that we said, okay, let's just sort of make a basic sort of A-line skirt. So there is your pieces. So you would sew 1 and 2 together, 3 and 4 together, and then you would put those together.
Yeah.
But I thought, wouldn't it be kind of fun to put some stuff in your seams?
Excellent.
So if you then decide how much, and these, we drew this so it looks like it's already draped, but these would be chunks that would either fit all the way across or part way across. I could stick one in that seam And this could come up in here. And I could stick one in this seam and have it. And I think it's always kind of nice to make the hem not straight, because that way you get kind of that what's going on look, and it's just kind of good. So in a knit, you would just turn under this top, put your elastic in it, leave the bottom, because really it's not going to go anywhere, and you've just got a wild skirt, and you can make a top.
And you get such a different look for not a lot of extra time.
Exactly. People think that, I mean, this looks very expensive, and that's really what sewing's all about, is to make it look like it took you a long time and have it, you know, like I've been known to start something like this at supper time to go out. I would imagine you have been capable of the same sort of thing. Okay, let's show you one more. Okay, so this was with the same fabric that we thought was kind of neat. And I'm suggesting that this is just Godets. So if you look at this, these are just triangular pieces that are just stuck into these seams. So if you look at that, that could have been a gored skirt. And we've done this one out of butter suede. And again, elastic waists. I see nothing wrong with elastic waist. Nope. You can put belts on them, you can put drapey things on them, but the comfort is there. Yeah. So the butter suede, again, doesn't fray. So this is a great fabric to choose because it's a knit. And then if you turn around, we'll see we've got Godets all over the place. And it just kind of gives a little bit of, I don't know, oomph to this whole thing.
And you could use all sorts of different colors. You could do it in
You'd like to have Godets of different colors and stuff like that, Okay, thank you. So really you could take any gored skirt pattern that you've got. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Probably something that's a little slimmer than wilder, because the godet might get lost. So we just made a godet, and it could be, it's just a triangular piece that's going to go in that seam. It could have a triangular hem, or it could have a straight down hem. They could be all different. It wouldn't really matter.
You can be creative.
That'd be fun. And then you sew it so that it matches here, and you sew it into your gore, onto your gore, and then the next gore you would sew onto there, and then you would sew another one, and so on and so on and so on. So that's basically how you would create this kind of godet skirt, and it could be an existing skirt that you've got.
Oh, so, that's right. You know, take it apart and
just add some stuff. So
me as well.
Anyway, that sort of gives you some inspiration, and I'd say thank you for coming, because it's been great fun, and you know, we've got a whole bunch more stuff. So don't go away; there'll be much more. Sewing is all about fashion, and I love fashion, and I love knowing what's in and what's coming with fashion. And to help me with that is Laurie, and you teach a class on this, don't you?
We do. We teach a class called Fashion Trends at Olds College. It's part of our fashion program. And in it we study what the trends have been in the past and where things are going. So we look at things historically and how the cycle.
And isn't it just a cycle that just keeps going? And we can actually get into two. I see in the magazines that I see these days, it looks like the stuff that I wore when I was in the 60s.
Very much so. We have a big trend of the 60s, that mod, that space age, a lot of color and graphics and
sort of individual, like I just thought back then that I'm really making a statement with this, and
we see it again.
Yeah,
and we have some
examples. I think it's part of the personality, isn't it, that the kids these days think they invented it, but of course we invented it. Or I was part of the invention because I wore it then. And
until you pull your things out of the closet and show them. But we have some examples from the 60s, and comparing them to what's in the magazine right now. They're very similar, very much. The mini skirts and primary colors and that Mary Quant kind of look.
So this is probably why kids going into the second-hand stores of the world are right on, because this is the stuff that we've recycled and sent to the Goodwills or Goodwill, so that's why they're in such good shape.
They are, and that's where the trends are right now.
Sure. How about that animal trend? I think I've been wearing animal prints for 15 years, I'm sure.
That's another trend that just kind of comes in and out. It never really goes away. And it started with prehistorically. People didn't have the means to make prints and embroidery, so they used the prints from the real skins to adorn themselves.
Well, I love animal prints, and I use them a lot, and they seem to be still as strong now as they were 15 years ago, and there's no end in sight to that one.
That's right.
I think this is kind of interesting, the whole corset business, and what's the historical significance of this?
Well, historically, the corset's been worn as an undergarment to alter the figure. And what we've been seeing in the magazines is the corset being used as an outside piece, as a fashionable piece.
Isn't that the interesting thing? You sort of take the same idea, but you give it a twist, like wear it on the outside. And I mean, these gals in the olden days would have had a fit if anybody saw their corset.
Oh, it would have been an embarrassment.
Yeah.
But the lacing, the details from the corset, the boning, the shaping is all what we're seeing in evening wear, especially right now.
Yes, I mean, it's a very big look. And I mean, if you've got the figure, or I guess you make the figure by these things. In fact, didn't you say that men even used to wear corsets?
Well, in the Empire period, which was the early 1800s particularly, men used to wear a corset to bring their waist smaller, and they would pad their chest and even their legs and their calves to make them look more muscular.
Well, men wore all kinds of flamboyant things. And I mean, the Henry VIII of the world, I mean, they had sort of skirts and...
Yeah, bows and buckles on their shoes and wigs and...
And they were then the flamboyant ones, and the women were kind of... What did the women wear at that same time?
Well, they also... We would consider what they wore to be very elegant as well, but it was in certain periods it was the men that kind of outdressed the women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's kind of fascinating. So movies have a big influence on this, I would think,
movies
and movie stars.
Movie stars, and sometimes when we see movies that took place in a certain period or certain era, we'll see a resurgence of that trend. The movie Chicago, for example, after that we saw the 1920s kind of flapper dresses.
Well, let me think. What's coming? How about the Hobbits and a whole bunch of little elfish kind of people?
Well, you never know.
Who knows? That could be the next one, couldn't it?
That could be.
Yeah. Well, it's a fascinating thing, and there's so many books, and there's so many things and courses that you can take, so hopefully we've got your mind thinking about the whole fashion thing, and it's fun. So we've got an exciting thing coming up next. It's a woman with a very similar name, so stay tuned. Now we've got something completely different. We're here with my friend, well, actually, Linda, you tell them who you are.
Linda McGehee.
And I'm Linda McPhee. So it is kind of crazy. I think we were maybe separated at birth is what I'm thinking. And I just
It could have happened.
I asked you what your birthday was.
August 31st.
And mine's the 29th.
Maybe we are.
Our mother had an awful tough delivery, though.
I think so.
Yeah. But it is kind of fun to actually have you on the program to show people that we are two different people. Cause
absolutely.
Every time people think we're the same, and we do both do similar things, but different things.
Absolutely.
So what you're going to show us today is you've been famous for bags and purses and things for many, many years. And you said you've got a few tricks that you want to show us and share with us.
Yes.
Okay.
I've used a lot of hardware in making the bags. That's the frame that's in the top. But I'd like to show you today how to play with zippers. And we're going to use zippers as the openings for pockets, zippers as the opening for bags. But it all starts off with the basic.
You say that Z word, the zipper, and everybody
cringes, but these are really easy, Linda. It'll be okay. You can handle it.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I think that's the way our viewers need to think about it. Zippers are not bad. They are the simple. I think they look so professional. I think
they're easy as long as you're using the proper foot.
Sure.
And another thing that makes it easier is to start off with a zipper that's a little bit too long.
I think that's great.
That way your presser foot doesn't become involved with the stop nor the slider.
Okay, and of course it's always easy to find a zipper that's too long. It's never easy to find the right size.
You're right.
So that's good.
Well, this zipper is a little bit longer than our fabric, and we have the slider right side to the right side of our fabric.
Okay, so let me just sort of go where we're going. We're actually wanting to make a pocket
that's on that order. This is a little bag, but it could also be a pocket.
Yes. And I think the idea of when you make this pocket, then we'll find lots of places to use it.
Absolutely.
So let's get that zipper in. So let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to use our all-purpose foot to sew the zipper in first. And we've stitched right along the edge at the top with the right side of the zipper on the right side of the tape.
Okay.
Now, if you fold it over, you'll notice that there's a nice roll with the fabric, and it's possible for the zipper to be caught in the fabric when you unzip, and we don't want that to happen.
Right. Yep.
So we're going to use one of my favorite feet, and it's called an edge joining or edge stitching foot. It has a little bar in the center of the foot.
Okay.
And we're going to line that bar on the fabric. between the zipper coil and the folded edge of the fabric, so that way you can't get your fabric too close.
Right down there and right down there.
And move your needle position over so that you're stitching on the fold of the fabric.
Sure.
You can see the white line there. Nice and neat and straight.
It just keeps you on the straight and narrow.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, to do the other side, we're going to put the right sides of the fabric together. So our fabric and zipper will look like that.
Stitch that.
And stitch it again.
So now we've got this zipper enclosed between those two.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we can undo that.
And edge stitch again.
Sure.
Nice and neat, even with a contrast of color of thread, which you might want to do in some projects. With the edge stitching foot, you're perfectly accurate.
Sure. And you could probably put piping, blah, blah. Here we go.
Yeah,
you could do all
absolutely.
Kinds of yeah, you could.
Now, we'll turn this wrong side out, and here's the trick. You have to unzip the zipper part of the way.
Right.
And we're going to stitch that in down. I've used a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. The zipper is open.
Okay.
On the other end, we've left the zipper closed.
Right.
Now, you want to make sure you have an opening to turn the pocket before you trim the excess away.
Because if
you discover that your slider's way over here and you trim the tape off, you're in trouble.
you have a decorative...
a permanently closed pocket.
Yeah. Okay, so
you can go ahead and trim that off.
Yep.
And we'll turn this right side out.
And we would clip the corners, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
And clip the other one.
Yeah, yeah. But
And
now
you
we
can
have
create a little pocket.
with a zipper in it.
With a zipper in it.
Okay, let's show how you've used this. Because I think you've had some ingenious uses for this. So this zipper
We've
is at the
taken
very
that
top.
zipper, and rather than the white stitching, I used a decorative stitch in this instance, just to add a little extra decoration next to the zipper, and mitered the corner.
That was a
And
nice
to
idea.
miter the corner, you simply pull the side seam to the bottom fold.
And just stitch across. Yeah,
It's a little triangle
we
shape.
can go there. So that becomes then a purse, not just a pocket, or it becomes a
cosmetic case.
Sure.
Whatever you want to use it for. Holder for a lot of your sewing tools.
Okay, let's keep on trucking.
This is a figured fabric, which are really hot now.
Sure.
It's a perfect place to show off a little bit of embroidery.
Okay. Then
you can use this as a hanging pocket inside a bag.
I think that's a great use. So this is just a separate pocket.
This purple lined bag has the hanging pocket on it. I remember that from my grandmother's bags.
Sure. It's just a separate.
If you want to use it as a patch pocket,
it makes a wonderful patch pocket because you've got a double whammy on this.
2 pockets in one.
That pocket, and you've got. Here we go. We've got this pocket. So
and folks are always asking me, what size fabric do you use? You use whatever size the fabric is.
Of course, for the pockets. You mean pockets could be all sizes.
One side has a large pocket, the other side has a small
got that
pocket.
Wonderful hidden pocket. Is that in here?
My secret pocket.
And of course, these are magnetic things too, so those are easily put in.
Absolutely. They're little prongs in the back, and just use pliers to bend them.
Yeah.
The bottom of this bag, I have a secret pocket, and it's a perfect place for your mad money, an extra key to the house.
You're not going to go far on that dollar, but that's okay.
It's the idea.
It's the idea. That's true. True enough. So there's another use for that pocket. You've got zippers then put into
the round bag with the gusset.
Sure.
The zipper idea is a little bit different, but it's the same takeoff.
Same idea.
And notice the size of these zippers. Some of them were larger, more decorative, and they work beautifully inside bags.
Sure.
On the smaller bag, we use the traditional zipper, and my preference is the polyester zipper.
Sure. Well, for something like this. And of course, Mardi Gras beads. I recognize these.
These are Mardi Gras beads.
Yeah. And you've got
the larger bag with this is a side zipper pocket. So the pocket's the full length of the bag. And then there's an opening that has a zipper too at the top.
Okay.
And there's also the patch pocket zipper on the inside. So those that want pockets, you've got all sorts of pockets to play with.
Yes, and we've got the patch pocket in here. So zippers are really the way to go on these bags. I mean, they're
zippers or magnetic snaps or hardware.
Or a combination of them. Yeah, and I think
one of my favorite new patterns is one that has 4 zippers in it. So there are 2 zipper compartments on one side.
Passports,
little money, your big money, your tickets, anything that you need to keep handy.
Yeah. That is excellent. That would be a very useful thing, yes.
And, you know, I've carried one of these for the last couple of months, and I don't have to have as much as I really think I need in my handbag.
Oh, isn't it true?
You can narrow it down. Again, we have more pockets. There's an outside patch pocket. A pouchy pocket if you feel you need the extra space.
Yes.
These are great projects for little kids.
Yes, this would be a great
because they can do it. By the time they've put in 4 zippers, they understand how to put a zipper in.
And of course, I can see that we can have the purse to match every outfit we've got.
Oh, you need to.
Yes, for sure.
All your leftover fabrics can go into handbags.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, thank you, Linda. This has been great.
It's
gotta
been
come back
super to
again.
be here. Absolutely.
Okay, super then. Thanks a lot.
Lennon.
Yeah, and we'll be right back. Well, we're going from zippers, which is not a scary foot, to scary feet that you use on a machine. And to help me is Kelly from Husqvarna. That's great to have you.
So good to be here.
And you deal with this all the time. So
Yes,
these are kind of scary looking feet. And
Well, they are. People are used to the little tiny metal ones that snap on. These also just snap on, but they are quite
This will roll.
confuses.
I can see it rolls.
Yeah, these are our two bias binders.
Yeah.
But the foot I'm going to talk about today is the one at the end, which is probably the scariest of all looking feet, which is our ruffler.
And I think there's a lot of people that have not taken it out of the box.
I've spoken to somebody here at the studio, and it hasn't been out of the box.
Okay, it's because it looks like.
So people should really take it out of the box and use it, because once you get to learn how to use it, it is really very easy to use, and it makes home deck projects very simple.
Ruffles are classic around
And
the
they're
cushion.
very easy to do. Instead of doing it the old-fashioned way where you might lay down some zigzag stitch and run a cord through and pull and gather the thread, this does it all for you.
Okay, so
And-
ruffle, and I'm just into the grandmother thing just recently, so ruffles on little things.
Ruffles on everything. Now
That
this
would be-
one here, you can see I just cut, it's folded at the side. Now here's a little sample of it. And you can see that the machine
Does all
just
that.
does all that for you.
So I like the idea of making a whole long strip of it and then fitting however much you
Exactly. And you can just join this together. You can see on a spot here somewhere. I did it so well it's hard to see.
I see
There you go. There's and you just would join it on.
Okay, let's go
on
do
the
it.
bias.
I think we've got to go do this.
So this foot, to start with, isn't that scary because you don't have to do anything too spectacular. We're going to take our little
right side up.
going to take our little screwdriver, and you're going to take the ankle off your machine. Most people don't like to do that. But you take the ankle off, and then what you do is you would normally put that in your sewing box somewhere safe where you're not going to lose it. See this fork right there?
Yeah.
That has to go around the needle bar.
Okay.
And you make sure that it's seated around there. Then you're going to screw it back onto the shank with your thumb, tighten it up. You don't want to over-tighten. Sometimes I find that people will over-tighten the screws and you can strip your screws, which
Okay, that's not good. No.
So that's the simple. It's just in, there we go.
Okay.
Now, you can see there's settings. This would pleat the fabric every single stitch, every 6th stitch, every 12th stitch, or no stitching no pleating at all. We're going to do every 6th stitch. So
Which is sort of a medium.
I've put that bar through. Now what we do is you'll see that there's a guide here. So this is the fabric I want to gather. I put it into the guide. Now there's 2 black plates in there, and you can see there at the side. You're going to pull that through them, and it's going to hold it. You're going to get it into position. You're going to come over here, and you're going to go into your straight stitch, and you want to adjust the stitch. It's about a 3 length, that's fine. And you want 0 width. We don't want any width. So we're going to say OK, and we're going to start. And every 6th stitch, you'll see that the foot kicks that fabric. Now, I could also, at the same time, sew this directly to the pillow face.
Sure, you're going to be doing that at the same time because your bottom layer does not kick.
That's right. You would feed it underneath.
Okay.
And there it is gathered. And now you can take that, put it on a pillow, put it on a bedspread, even on a valance. We could have put a ruffle on that valance. So it really isn't a scary foot at all.
And it's very simple to put on.
Very simple.
So, and of course, you would just do all of your ruffling at the same time.
Make sure that you put this little guy in a safe spot so that you've got him ready to put on next time.
Because you don't want to have to replace that little number.
Ankle. So you could have laid the fabric underneath the foot and run the fabric through.
Okay, well, that is sounding good. Thank you, Kelly, for showing us that. I think we'll all get that out of the box now.
Take it out of the box.
We're pretty well out of time, but check for our address. It's coming at the end of the show, so you'll see that address, and you can phone us, and you can write us, and you can tell us what you think, and you can let us know what you do. So that's great. And
it's wonderful.
Thank so you'll be back again, won't you?
Oh, if I'm invited, I'd love to come.
Okay, we will have you back. Okay, so thank you for watching today, and do watch us again next time, and we'll have fun all over again with your sewing.
To receive the companion book for this series, send $19.98 to the address on your screen or call 1-888-McPhee.